Hello, hello, hello. It's TeMeka of Love Inspire Teach E from Home Podcast Studio. I am looking for a broadcast studio in Chicago. I'm not really sure what happened with the Bronzeville podcast studio. So once I find out, I will be sure to let you know. But I do want to give people time to come in. I'm also sharing this link to StreamYard with a couple select folks. So if you're not part of the Facebook group, Lighters of Love Inspire Teach E, I suggest you join that one. There's also the podcast audience group available as well. And then what else do I have for you guys? I'm putting it in the chat, in the comments. If you want to join the discussion via StreamYard, you need to register at streamyard.com/Facebook. But let me just send my business partner the link and a few other folks who've been advising lately. And that way they have the info they need. But my phone has been I've been having a lot of phone issues. Yeah, it's not sending. Weird. I will be restarting this phone. So for anyone who is expecting to see it behind the scenes, that means it's going to take me a second. Which is fine. I've restarted this one phone like 3 times already. I had a security issue, y'all. Man, is that a story. But regardless, let me tell y'all tonight's topic. I said, I can't remember the exact wording for it, but basically this is a podcast for entrepreneurs, but just so you know, we always touch on the other areas that we focus on. It typically is all interrelated. So just bear that in mind. I'm just trying to fix a folder. And then also making sure I focus myself on entrepreneurship. So if you didn't know, now you know. The topic for tonight is the 7 deadly business sins, 7 deadly sins for an entrepreneur or business owner. So you may be part of a business, and you can manage a territory, and that is your business. Territory business management. I've worked in sales for over 20 years. It is your own. You take ownership of it. I've always loved that I had autonomy as a business owner by working in sales. I might be a little bit over it these days, but it's not something you can get away from. As a consumer, you're always going to end up dealing with the sales aspect on the consumer side. And if you're a salesperson, that helps you become a better salesperson because you realize what you as a person need to do. So you're going to have to ignore my notifications because I get a lot of them. And I guess I can mute this phone, but all right, so we already have a guest who jumped in. I can add to the stream in a little bit, but we also have a viewer, and I want to thank any of you who are watching the replay now. I don't want to forget to do that because I do see we've got a number of YouTube subscribers now. So thank you to our newest YouTube subscribers. Thank you for those who watch from the loveinspireteaching.com website. Thank you to those who join live. I appreciate you so much. The whole team appreciates you so much. And we'll go ahead and get started. I'll go ahead and do an intro because I realize not everyone always watches the previous episode. So I'm TeMeka C. Williams. I am the creator and Chief Evolution Officer of Love Inspire Teach E. Tonight's topic had a lot to do with things I've learned as I've really honed in and focused on building Love Inspire Teach E, switching gears from primarily focusing on the blog to adding a podcast, doing a lot more private events, engaging with more of my friends who I trust and who have known me and who have been around for a long time. I'm not hearing sound from this. Drew, can you hear me okay? I can't hear you yet. I haven't added you to the stream. Hi, Linda. Thanks for joining. Um, so that was a join from the personal Facebook page. So if you're from on my personal Facebook page, know that I only do the behind the scenes for a little while, and I usually cut it off because the live broadcast actually comes into the Love Inspire Teaching Facebook business page and YouTube. So let's get into it. Oh, yeah. Okay, good. My phone restarted, so my topics, I shouldn't say little, my big topics for today are saved here. And I put a lot of thought into this, actually. I don't normally podcast with a ton of prep because most of the time it comes pretty natural to me. But the Silver Room Block Party is something held in Chicago that really started on the north side. Then it moved to Hyde Park, the south side of Chicago. And it's put on by a business owner. Shout out to Eric Williams, who I never met, even though I was a sponsor. I thought that was weird. And he also opened Bronzeville Winery. So I was really intrigued and I wanted to support this business. It's a business by a person of color, a Black owned business, minority owned business. As women, we're all minorities when it comes to corporate America. My company is an LLC, so technically it counts as corporate America, but we're small. So I think about switching it to S Corp, but I don't think I want it to stay small because I do have an exit strategy. But let's get into it. Let's get into how you should really protect your business. So I said that this week, if you watch any of the lives today, whether on Instagram or on Facebook, then you would know that I said we'll start with the 7 deadly sins as an entrepreneur, but we're also next week going to podcast on the 7 blessings or things you need to do as you build your business as an entrepreneur. I'll come up with the proper terminology that I feel comfortable with for next week. I don't know why this link is not sending. It's not sending to my business partner. So just bear with me, guys, because we're 8 minutes in and I still want to give people some time to jump on because people are just getting off of work or they may already be at a happy hour event. There's actually a happy hour event going on right now that I wish I could attend, and I'll probably head over that way after this, depending on how I feel after doing this podcast. So we'll see how that goes. And then I'll probably talk a little bit about that maybe next week. But to get back to the Silver Room Block Party and what it was like, I was very proud of myself because it was my first ever, like, not representing another company. And I did the best I could. And I feel like, given how it was planned and the amount of help I had, it went really well. So shout out to Tai, who's going to be heard from in a little bit, probably. I really had to lean on the people I had there. You guys know I had Kevin there. You guys know that my girl Quita came, and she's doing some exciting things. So maybe I'll get her on the podcast at some point. Anyone I'm forgetting, I do apologize. There is one gentleman, I don't know his full name. He goes by some nickname. So I'll just leave that alone because there's so many nicknames. And I know that Facebook and the government are pushing us to be our authentic selves, which is great. So let's start with that positivity, right? Great things happened. Silver and Black Party was awesome. It was great for the community. It's their inaugural year. But I also found that there was things that could be improved upon. I found that there were things that I, as a business owner, wish weren't the case. So I'm going to give you guys the full list, and then I'll get into each individual one. So the 7 deadly sins as an entrepreneur. Oh, and I will also say Tai Tai is awesome. She's been supporting me just like in more of a volunteer capacity. So I appreciate her for that. And we got to discuss maybe making it more official. But she sent me an article from Groove HQ that I had already written what my points were going to be, and there was a lot of synergy between them. So I might touch base on that real quickly. We'll see how it goes. But let's start with number 1, arrogance. So you don't want to be arrogant as a business owner. You want to show humility. It's arrogance and confidence. I think get confused sometimes. They are two totally different things, right? Right. So when it comes to your idea, you're passionate. Like Prince, as an artist, said, "I'm sensitive about my shit," right? And then y'all, I'm drinking water. It's a happy hour podcast, but I need to hydrate. I did support Black Girl Magic. So you'll see a bottle back there. Yeah. One of these ways. Can't show you guys. Black Girl Magic Rosé at the Saturday event. So whatever's left is back there. I had 1 sip last night because I am going on an alcohol break for a minimum of 7 days. But I think as a business owner or just as an individual, you want to be confident about your product and what you're passionate about and what matters to you. You want to make sure that you are representing your brand well. And then, is my mic still sounding distorted, Drew? I'm using the laptop, so I'm not really sure why. And the problem with the podcast mic that I normally use is that I lost the lug nut for it, but let me see what I can do to improve that. Tai, is it distorted for you as well? I don't think anyone's on Facebook Live right now. Oh, I got someone on the Facebook Live. Anyone on Facebook Live want to tell me, is it the sound distorted for my phone? Might have to switch to StreamYard for my phone. Hey, Nita, how are you? Thanks for jumping in. And this is the behind the scenes, so it's gonna probably switch off. I'm gonna turn this off in a little bit because I'm having some sound issues apparently. Or I might leave it on if I have to grab the audio from this. But Facebook's changed so many rules and like policies that I don't even know how to be able to grab my own stuff without it being complicated. Bear with me. I'm gonna get up. Oh, there it is. I'm trying to think where I put that podcast mic. Let's see if it's in the box. All right, I'm gonna try using this podcast microphone without its full setup, so it's not gonna have the this thing on it. But I am gonna use the holder for the other mic that I don't see if that helps. But it may be distorted, but can you understand me, Drew? You can. All right, so I'll keep going while I set this up. So I was saying the number one deadly sin for me is arrogance. Now I've worked in several industries. I've worked in after college, after graduating from Duke, I worked in healthcare. I went back to investment banking, which is where I was an intern. And then what did I do after investment banking? I started a company, which is like semi-active right now. So Royal TKO Media, it's a speakers management bureau. And then I also, then after that, I went back to healthcare, worked hospice, then worked in the senior living community. And then, then I think that's after that is when I went into telecommunications. And I've always loved technology. I come from a family that gets like all kinds of cool new things. My light is gonna have to. No, I'll just take this one off. I don't want to turn the light off. So I've just always had access to cool technology, enjoyed it, found that I naturally understood it better, sound better. I put the other microphone in. Mic check. 1 2 1 2.
Can you hear me better, Drew? Did it change anything? Yeah? Okay, great. All right, so back to the whole arrogance. There's a difference between arrogance and confidence. You just, like, take for instance the fact that I grew up in what some people consider like a high profile household, I guess. And name dropping is very taboo in those communities, like in those circles. When people think about the rich versus the poor love to name drop, the rich do not. It's like very taboo. So if you've ever watched, like, I don't know, Greenleaf is probably not a good example. Billions, if you watch that on HBO, or my mind is like blanking right now, but basically you don't name drop because you as a person should speak for yourself. You as an individual need to, like, build your own brand, more or less. We talk in this modern society about branding and having a personal brand and being an influencer. So arrogance should not be part of that. Confidence, yes. No to arrogance. And the Silver Room Block Party, I would say I met tons of down to earth people. I really genuinely thought most of them were confident and down to earth. And I had one individual who I met through a friend, who, shout out to DJ Craig Elliott. He's given me business advice, like when he found out I was doing this podcast. He'll support by reposting on Instagram. And I'm sure he talks crap about me behind my back. I like know it for a fact, but guys tend to do stuff like that. Not that it's appreciated, but they do it anyway. But I did meet someone else who, upon initial meeting, seemed confident, but also arrogant. But it didn't bother me because I've grown up in those circles, and you do encounter people who are arrogant. But then you find that people will support those businesses because they want something that person has, but not because they genuinely like them. Lilia, come here, baby. I'm sorry. Home podcast studio. I still have a fur baby. My other babies aren't here. I have a fur baby. So, all right, let's move on to number 2, because I am 20 minutes in, and I have this feeling I won't get into all of them. I will make you go in the room without your puppies if you don't calm down. Enough. All right, so number 2. Deadly sin, not enough research. So the article that was sent to me by a friend also said there's such a thing as paralysis analysis. So taking action is definitely key, but you have to do some level of research, right? And there's a reason why I say this. I meet a lot of people. I work in sales. If you network, you're gonna meet a lot of different personalities, and you have to adjust to those different personality types. But at the same time, if the person tells you a little bit about their business, make sure you're listening. Key in sales. You've got to listen to your customer or client, or however you refer to the people that give you their money. You can advise them, and they may not take your advice, but you should always listen to them, right? And then the other thing you should always... All right, she's got to go. Hold on, guys. You're not being quiet. I tried to let you stay out, and you're just not. All right, I apologize. I think she's gonna want her puppies, so bear with me. Bear with me, because you can't be without her babies. You guys get to see the puppies real quick. This one is Squeaker. This one is Pip, and this one is Mo. Let me bring her babies. Who doesn't love puppies, though? We talk about spreading the love. Puppies are definitely love. So, in any case, back to the 7 deadly sins for entrepreneurs. And this is the last one the second one's the last one I'm going to leave on the behind the scenes for Facebook, because I got to switch to Instagram for a hot second. So I was talking about how doing your research. You should go to the company website if you genuinely support. You should check out events if you genuinely support. You should share the podcast. So commercial break time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, ring the notification bell, or buy merch. But regardless, do some research. Love Inspire Teach E covers a lot of topics. It's a very broad market company. It's not a niche based company. And that's why I told people when I was doing these follow loops, I don't feel bad. I don't feel like it's not organic growth because there's a lot of synergy. It gives me more diversity, more access to share with you all. And the ones I'm doing are UK based. And I just hired a UK based company to assist mine so I could have more support. And that, again, makes it relevant for me to be able to speak knowledgeably about things related to what it takes to do the consulting on the level that I do, to work with the type of individuals I know and that are part of my network. So make sure you do your research. Don't assume things. Let me think if I can give you another real life example. If a person like me were to tell you my family background and that I know certain individuals, not to name drop, but to give you an idea of exposure to who my mentors are, who my advisors are, where I worked. Go ahead and check my receipts. Go to LinkedIn. Go to the blog. Google my name. And I'm not saying that to be rude or mean or whatever. I'm saying it's valid, right? And the third one, I'll probably bring in anyone who's willing that's connected if they want to jump in. Just let me know. I know Tai said she's not coming on tonight, which is fine. But make sure you check their receipts, give them their just due, and don't knock them. Don't insult people. You can tell the truth. And if the truth doesn't resonate well with someone, that's on them. That's not on you. But if you're stating a fact is a fact. It's not disputable if it's known. Like, let's say you have a private investigation company and you're going to check and see if someone's dipping out on their significant other. You can provide facts, whether with pictures, with screenshots. You could even, that private investigator. I've hired a private investigator. If you watched the In the Zone podcast, the first podcast I was ever on, I talked about how hard it was to get my divorce. I had to hire someone, and they were telling me some of how they go about doing their job. And so there's this disconnect if you want to put blinders on and pretend like you don't see something happening because you're protecting yourself. But that, again, is on you, because if someone is going out and making claims and verifying facts, and you hire someone to go and directly address the source, then again, you're not bad mouthing, you're not discrediting, you're verifying facts, right? So anyone who's on my personal page may be able to connect some dots as well, because I know people are nosy as hell and think that I'm going to blow up my own spot and someone else's. But I won't do it in the worst way possible. You got to do it in a tasteful, classy way. Or my version of it. Hey. Yes, I'm enjoying myself. I said I would have fun, and I said today's podcast would be litty, and I'm trying to be tame. I really am. But, oh man, did I write something about giving unsolicited advice? Yes. So let's tie this in to not enough research. If you're going to give someone free business advice because you think you're an expert, it would help when you're giving unsolicited advice to have actually watched a podcast or to have read a blog article before you just tell them, tear the whole thing down. The name is terrible. Rename it. I literally got told this. I literally got told that LITE Firestarters was a stupid name, and that what was the purpose of my podcast and what do I talk about? And I decided I need to kind of change how I say it. But the truth of the matter is I can talk about anything I want to. If I want to be grown, I can say it in the grown language, which a lot of conservatives don't like when we drop F-bombs and whatnot. But hey, this this is a show. I'm over 40 years old. So if I say I want to talk about any fucking thing I want and say it confidently, I can do that. But for this person to tell me to change the name of my podcast to that, I actually found it slightly offensive. I was trying to see if that was something I was willing to do, but it didn't resonate with me. So I'm not doing it, especially after realizing this person was definitely in the not best of spaces and just doing some questionable things and not being honest and forthright. So that's enough tie-in there. So I'm sorry, Facebook. That means if you want to watch, you got to go to the Facebook business page, or you can try to catch the Instagram live. But I do encourage people to go to StreamYard.com/Facebook to register if you want to join in the StreamYard conversation, and then I can start sending you the private StreamYard link if you would like. Or you can always catch the replay. But never forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, ring the notification bell, show support for small businesses. We built America. If you've ever watched the Madam C.J. Walker documentary on Netflix, I totally recommend that. You'll see that MLM, multi-level marketing, or network marketing, or direct-to-consumer marketing, formerly called pyramid schemes, are not that. That's how this country was founded. Going door to door to your neighbors. So why do we knock it so hard now? You know, Tyra Banks made her own MLM. I don't know the name of it, but I know that she's doing that. There's tons of celebrities that are doing it. Is it Ray J's ex-girlfriend? April Jones. I love watching Tay Diggs. He's hilarious on TikTok. She's doing that with the scrubs because I think she might have been a phlebotomist before, something in healthcare. I think she's half Filipino, so we tend to work in healthcare a lot. I just wasn't a doctor or nurse, but all right, y'all. Number 3, go into that one. Bye, Facebook. All right. So number 3 is not targeting the appropriate customer, right? You are just willy-nilly with everything and not sure exactly what you want to do, but you're just gonna pretend like, I don't know, how do I describe this? Pretend like you it doesn't matter. What you have to say is so important and so valuable. Everyone's going to want it. And the world doesn't work like that anymore. We've got too much information available, too many options. The internet changed things a long time ago. So you really, really should go ahead and decide, who do you like? Who's your tribe? Who's your circle? Who do you feel like can relate to you? And initially, when I started my company and people looked at my website, they said it only resonated with women. And I was offended by that because I grew up with 4 brothers. So I did not want to limit myself in that way. I really think it's weird when people do that. Like, did you not catch that I was live? Why would you call me on Facebook when I'm live? Weird. Okay. So make sure you get really tight on your vision. Like, who do you want in a tribe? If you saw a post that I did on Facebook, I said, I'm really focusing on people who have positive energy, who spread love. I'm really going to do a better job with my due diligence. And I have to come up with a whole interview strategy. It just said poor connection. That's why I did that. Welcome, Instagram Live. You're on point 3 of the 7 deadly sins of entrepreneurship. So, yeah, I just didn't like being told that I was going to be limited, and I had to change a few things to make sure I was more encouraging to both men, women, non-binary, red, purple, green, blue, yellow, whatever color you are. I didn't want to limit myself. But if you have a niche market and that's what you want, then you really should make sure you're very clear on that with yourself so that you can double check to make sure that your branding does that. And there's companies that'll do it for you. My company does strategic marketing consulting. So if you need assistance with that, feel free to reach out to us at hello@loveinspiredteache.com. That is the email address you can use to get some general information. Hello@loveinspiredteache.com, or just check out our website. So I said after number 3, I'd bring in audience participation. I think Nurse Drew's okay with jumping in. Is that okay with you, Drew? All right. So based on what you've heard so far, what are your thoughts on the first 3 deadly sins for an entrepreneur or anyone who's in territory business management, or even taking ownership of your department if you're a management level? That's a form of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, so I haven't had the opportunity to start my own business, but I've had the opportunity to run a couple pretty big uh, organization departments. And so you can be an entrepreneur or my entrepreneur. And arrogance and confidence, arrogance versus confidence is a big one to be aware of. You know, in an industry, that doesn't mean all the answers. You should be aware of, and you should be open to suggestions and change. Um, certainly be confident in your craft and your ability, but be aware that you don't know everything. I work in healthcare, and healthcare is a very large industry, and so I'm still every day, and I've been doing this for a long time now. So certainly be confident in your ability to grasp, but try not to. You won't have all the research key. A lot of times when people come to my community, we try to do as much research as we can or discovery as we can to get to know the client and understand what their needs are. And you really, hit the nail on the head when you said listen. Listen to your client. Talk less. Soak on the information. And, most clients, when they talk to you, and at least in my industry, if you just listen and go through scenarios with them and kind of talk out solutions together, they feel very confident when they leave, and if they feel that confident that they've had a good conversation with you, it's a good possibility that they're not going to seek another vendor or company. So take time and get to know your client, though. Don't rush them. Be respectful of their time is what I'm trying to say. If they've taken the time to give you an appointment or give you time of day, be respectful. Be punctual. Consideration. Certainly research as much as possible. Learn as much as about your client, so you can really custom, whatever you are is selling or whatever you're, trying to get your customer to connect with. Make sure you customize it to fit their needs. And what was, I'm sorry, the third thing, Mika, what were you saying? Was the third bullet point?
I'm sorry, what'd you say? I was telling Instagram what was going on.
Oh, sorry. The third bullet point, what was that?
Should be scrolling at the bottom, but wrong target customer. But what I wanted to say about the whole punctuality thing, I also want to say that give some grace for any of these 7 deadly sins that for entrepreneurs that I'm talking about. There is room for grace, but if you repeatedly do something, you lose credibility, and people are not going to be okay with, oh, maybe they're just having a day and normally they're confident, but they have to overcompensate and they're being arrogant today. Or normally they're on time, but they've had a day and the pandemic is messing everybody up. So I also want to just throw in, have a little bit of grace. And then, yeah, so Drew, as far as, I don't know if you had a lot of feedback on the wrong target customer, then I'll get into the last 4 of the 7 deadly sins for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, not too much to go off on bullet point 3, only because in my industry, usually people that out our help are very specific on what they need. But I will say when we do outreach, You have to be mindful, yes, of targeting the right clientele, the right customers. Sometimes you'll hit dead ends, and that's okay. Try to make the best of those opportunities, though. Try to network with people as best as you can. We often do a lot of work with like um, um, oh God, what do you call it? Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
Sorry, I was like, I don't know.
Okay, the Chamber of Commerce, usually has a lot of good networking opportunities. A lot of professionals come from different areas, so sometimes those are good events to attend to and connect with. I do that frequently.
Yeah. All right. So we're not quite halfway, but normally I would I've already done the commercial breaks, but I normally like to pick a nonprofit to promote. So I actually there's several really good ones that it was a little hard to pick. So I'm sure by the end of this, I'll give you guys one. But I will say that I did want to support a book that's not necessarily fully business focused, but you can tie it in because the author Todd Mayfield used to help his dad. Yes, Curtis Mayfield, if you're into music. I know Todd personally because we used to work together, and he's a real estate agent now. So I don't remember what he specializes in real estate, but he wrote this book about his father. And I think understanding tough competitive fields like fashion or highly saturated fields like restaurants or music, the way you approach business can be very cutthroat. So some of the things we're talking about here are celebrated. And I really wish that we as a society, especially given the pandemic, especially given the fact that people now, they're almost too nonchalant. They almost don't care enough about what's going on. That we really found a way to, how can you be in the music industry and not necessarily be cutthroat or arrogant? How can you achieve the same goal without doing any one of these 7 deadly sins as an entrepreneur? So let's see. Let me get to number 4, which is budgeting too loosely. The term balling on a budget comes to mind. And I've always found that offensive because even rich people budget because their companies that they operate have a budget. Now, their budget may be bigger than yours, but everybody balls out on a budget. Your budget might be this big, it may be this big, but you're on a budget, especially if you pay taxes because Uncle Sam, he's getting his cut. And you want to try to see what you can do to manage Uncle Sam's cut. So, even if you're operating on a loose budget because you're not sure what's coming in and what's coming out, I would say just be on the conservative side. Plan to spend less rather than more. Don't go overboard. Or just be very strategic. If you know you're going to go hard, go big. My sponsorship, I negotiated my sponsorship to not cost quite as much as everyone else's, but it was still a hefty price tag, like in the thousands for me to sponsor that event. So again, even though I didn't spend as much as others, I'll have to admit, I was slightly offended that I didn't get to meet the owner or like there wasn't strong connection representation to sponsors to people who put on the event. And I felt like that was an opportunity for growth or room for improvement item. So that's just constructive criticism when it comes to budgeting. It's constructive criticism on if you're spending your money and it's a big ticket item that you did strategically. You also want to assess when the event's over, would you do this again? And in order for you to do it again, to make that hefty of an investment, to invest in yourself in that way, what would have to happen or what would you need to see? I really wanted to support the community I live in. I really wanted to support a person of color. And I really wanted to be part of the inaugural event because usually those people remember who was there with them at first. But I feel like it wasn't really an inaugural event to them because they'd done it so many years in different locations. And I feel like they lost sight of how important it is to really give a hug to those people who wanted to be there for your first time on the beach, to be there the first time after the pandemic, or when the pandemic's like slowed down and we can feel okay going outside and being in large crowds if they did it the right way. And I know that's part of why my booth was so far, but at the same time, there's just room for improvement. So budget. Don't budget loosely, budget strategically or conservatively. And I'm not a conservative person. So for me to say something like that, I think you should bear that in mind. I like nice things. I know everybody under the sun likes nice things. Now, can we all afford them? Yes, some of us hustle real hard to spend more money on our clothes and jewelry than having an individual retirement account, also known as an IRA. So there's another hint for you as a business owner. Get your business account together. Get your is it called a SEP IRA for business owners? I forget. I have a Roth IRA. That means you get taxed up front because I feel like taxes always go up. So why would I have a regular old IRA if I can have a Roth? That's just me. All right. So I used to work in finance, y'all. Just some thoughts.
And
You want to jump in here, Drew?
also do IRA for anybody in cryptocurrency. And the benefit of that is, like Mika said, you pay your taxes up front. But let's say you were accumulating Bitcoin when it was a couple $100, and now it's something $1,000. So you pay taxes on anything you accumulate after you drop it into your Bitcoin IRA. So it's a little hint for everybody. Do an IRA, definitely do a Roth, and you also have the option of going to Bitcoin IRA, so you pay your taxes up. Profits made after that is all yours.
Awesome. I'm not that into Bitcoin because I had a bad experience trying to get in, but I'm trying to get my mind wrapped around giving it a second go.
I'll do another podcast. We can do it specifically on that, and I'd love to come back and chime in on
Let's
that.
do it, because I have a Coin Mama account and I keep getting these notices that I need to do something, but I'm so salty about some scammers that I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it. So yeah, let's pick a date to do that one. But obviously not next week, because unless you can fit it into those 7 for next week, but we definitely need to plan a date for that.
All right.
All right, so on to number 5, but don't forget to share while you're hearing all this, because that was great information that I think people should hear before they get too drunk, since this is happy hour. So number 5, a deadly sin is letting your employees and clients take advantage of your kindness for weakness. I keep hearing Rihanna 4 or 5 seconds in my head based off of some experiences I've had recently. I have to say, like, my whole tattoo experience was all right. I do have a preferred and like first choice tattoo artist that I work with, but anyone who's trying to start a new business, I'm happy to support. You have to bear in mind that when people are in a tough position, they're going to take advantage if they can. Like, think back to your college days if you attended college, or think back to when you were a kid. You are going to try to get any and everything out of the candy store that mommy or daddy will let you buy as a kid. College days, you're trying to get your friends, convince your friends why it's great for everybody. And if they don't like it, you'll keep it. And in those instances, when you're younger, I do believe there's grace in that, right? But as we get older, as we get more accomplished, as we mature and become adults, we have to be able to be more discerning about who's taking advantage of your kindness. Who drives an Audi and comes to get $260, not quite Beats headphones, but, top name brand headphones, and asks people to order items for them and says they'll pay them back with no time frame? Or who lets, let's say you barter and say, we're going to do an exchange, and then they backpedal. If anyone knows the young lady who I was on the podcast with the second time I was on In the Zone, she backpedaled on some bartering. So I'm not going to say her name here, it's up to you if you want to do that kind of research. But that type of stuff happens when someone's like just starting out. I think they forget that they're still working with another business owner who's still waiting maybe on last year's tax return, or who's still waiting on a big client to pay their bill. And you just shouldn't take advantage of people's kindness for a weakness. And it will follow you. It's hard to shake a reputation of taking advantage of others. It happens all the time. Actually, in healthcare, I'm gonna let Drew jump in here, because I know for a fact in healthcare it happened significantly, because people are in a stressed state, whether you're taking care of a loved one, whether you're in the hospital for something yourself, like having to do rehab. So let me just add Drew back on the screen so we can get him to kind of share a little.
Oh, yeah.
I touched on a good one.
Very, very. So I'll do a couple examples of or department, or leader in a company, how that happened, especially now. Healthcare, along with other industries, stress is hard.
You're breaking up. Your internet signal might not be quite strong, so I don't know what's going on with that.
I'm not sure. I got a full bar, so hopefully, does it sound
It's
any
better
better
now? Okay. I don't know if you're getting closer. Maybe it was more that.
Yeah, I moved in a little closer. So I was saying with along with right now, the healthcare industry is in distress as far as help in areas, and so employees are, some are starting to take advantage of that, and it could be on a small scale, such as like functional telehealth. It could be, I've seen some leaders take a step back and following process, which can come back to burn you, later on. I'd say with any business or any department head, have your non-negotiables. Have things that you just won't compromise on. It'll save you a lot of headache in the long run. And it'll kind of keep everybody on the same page, because if you start to handle each situation differently, that can come back to create a larger problem. So be consistent in the way you handle things, or as consistent as possible. Now are starting to take advantage of employers because they know the amount of stress they're under as far as just needing help. And so people will certainly test you to that breaking point. And like Mika was saying, they'll take your kindness for weakness. Be understanding, because things are different for a lot of people. Inflation's impacted everybody, and what the other side that a lot of people don't see is a lot of people are working 2 full-time jobs just to make ends meet. And so if they don't have a high-end salary, or if not a business owner, if they're working for you or for a company, oftentimes now people have a full-time and a part-time job, or 2 full-time jobs. So these employees are dead tired half the time, and their patience, is thin, and they're very, they can get easily upset or irritable just from physical and mental exhaustion. So you do have to be mindful of everybody's situation when you're a business owner. When you're, a department head, you have to be mindful that your situation is different at work, and your employee may be working twice the amount of you in some cases. And so everybody right now is just trying to adjust to high gas prices and food prices and all of that. So we're in very different times, but there's certainly employees out there that will try to take advantage of a business owner or a department head because they know that they're, needing help. And so sometimes people will take advantage of, your need for help, and really try to do things their own way. But again, draw a line in the sand, have your non-negotiables on things you won't budge on. I just had a conversation today. I hired a girl, and in healthcare, the agreement, it's kind of industry standard, for a lot of employees to do like every other weekend. And so that was the agreement. But then shortly after she got hired on, uh, just kind of in passing, it's like, oh, I forgot to tell you I can't, do Sundays. And so I said, okay, that wasn't. But, I stuck to my non-negotiables, which was, it's standard for everybody. So what I did, instead of saying, well, we can't offer you full time, I said, well, would you like to work a different shift? And that way you can still go to church. That way we can still hire you on full time. Um, so you can still, commit to the every other weekend. You would just come in after church. And so I thought that was a fair compromise. And her, rebuttal was, well, maybe I can work something out where. With
You broke up, and you're breaking up. And it probably was really good. We've got 10 minutes though. So
Got it.
what were you saying? Her rebuttal was?
Yeah, her rebuttal was, well, I'll, let me go back and talk to the people at my church, and maybe I can figure out, how to come in every other week, because she wanted, to the day shift, opportunity that we had for her. So
Did she have like some kind of leadership role or something at the church?
did, and so, always assume best intentions, but stick to your non-negotiables too, because it'll save you a lot of time in the long run.
And to piggyback off of what he's saying, I think it was really great that Drew showed an ability to compromise. So sometimes some of that frustration from employees, though, and them taking advantage is coming from employers mistreating them. I had that experience recently. And I feel it's very important as an entrepreneur to never forget what it was like to be the employee.
Mm-hmm.
I tell myself all the time, like, I am my own boss. I'm going to be a slave driver boss to myself because I work for myself and that money goes to me. Right. But when it comes to my employees, they don't feel that sense of ownership. So as an LLC, I do have that opportunity to offer ownership to people who I deem worthy, right? That I feel like will enhance my brand, that have our best interests at heart. And there are some models like, is it Trader Joe's, or there's certain companies that's their whole model is you actually have to buy into the company in order to work there because they want you to have that sense of ownership. It's like a lot of times like the farmer type companies that want you to not feel comfortable stealing because you're not only stealing from the company, you're stealing from yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So treat your employees right, treat your clients right. Don't dismiss the fact that you should consult with them, whether or not they like what you prepared for them, whether or not they like your ideas or if they want to tweak it. Forgetting that part is scary to me. It's happened to me on more than one occasion. Never let that happen with a tattoo unless you're like totally confident that you're just like, if I don't like it, do like Rihanna and just go over the whole thing. I was shocked when I learned Rihanna got that really cool like tribal hand one and then she went over it. I was just like, that's interesting. Must be nice to have that ability to withstand pain, to spend money, because tattoos are not always inexpensive. I was just like, wow. Or if you're consulting with a client, just bear in mind, even if you do it for free, if you don't even ask their feedback, they're not as likely to work with you unless they're like burnt out and just like don't want to think about it and hoping you'll buy the business from them and take it over. I don't know how often that happens. I'm just saying you want to bear those things in mind. So I got to wrap this up in 7 minutes. So I'm just going to tell you number 6 and 7 so I know for sure that you heard them, because I think I said them at the beginning, but I'm going to go ahead, say them again. So 6 is using antiquated technology. Now, I just said I'm a tech person. We are in modern times, and the internet and the ability to use video and live stream have changed everything. And I run into people all the time who are business owners that might be exiting and retiring that are like, I don't do email, or I don't do Instagram, or I don't. And I keep thinking like you're underserving yourself, your employees, the market, because you just don't want to learn. So make sure that you continue to grow and learn. And even if it's not something that's your thing, like hire someone that is really good at it, but will take a couple minutes to like show you basics. You've got to know the basics at minimum. And then that'll lead me into number 7, which is do not ignore people or problems. Like they're not just going to go away. When we talk about people are burnt out or frustrated, shutting down and doing what's called stonewalling, or this in dating, they call it ghosting, or just this putting blinders on, like managers who are like, I don't want to deal with it. And they pass it off to someone else. That stuff comes back to you. Like if you pass a bad employee to a different manager, they're going to kind of remember that, or the employees are going to be like, Dad, you get promoted and you're terrible. Or if you, I can think of too many examples. Like I said, I'm trying to keep it business focused. So the employee example, but also like a customer who's given feedback repeatedly over and over again and said the same thing. Like, I do not like this. I don't like the wording. I don't like the positioning. I don't like that word choice. I don't want cursing on my stuff. Yes, we're grown-ups, but I am politically correct. I'm conservative. I that's not my brand. You have to respect that and don't put blinders onto it and drop F-bombs every other day. Or don't, like my company, if you work with me, you can drop an F-bomb. YouTube will allow me to. Facebook kind of frowns upon it, so I try to minimize it a little bit, but at the same time, I'm going to move us away from Facebook eventually. That is my goal. Because Facebook, I'll be honest with you, not my favorite. I have so many problems with Facebook. Instagram is turning into the same thing. So my goal is to move away from Facebook. I hope TikTok starts to go longer. YouTube is awesome. I record these videos. I could actually post the videos to the website directly without even linking it to YouTube, but I do it intentionally. There's a strategy behind it. So strategize. And that strategy includes making sure that you accept feedback. You hear the things that are important to your employees, to your clients, to yourself. Like if you in your gut sense something is off or wrong, or it's going the wrong direction, backpedal a little bit. I hate backpedaling. I'll be honest with you. But sometimes you need to take a step back, see the big picture, forge a different path. Like you're in a fork in a road and you thought you were going to go this way, but you're going to veer back. Do that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Sometimes we get in our own way by being fearful. And I called this the 7 deadly sins. I knew it was probably not going to catch some people, but then there's some people who are intrigued by that. You should be intrigued by what's wrong because it teaches you how to do what's right. And you have to be open-minded enough to do that. So we'll do a real quick closing thoughts. As far as a nonprofit to support, I'm just going to say, go ahead and support the Chicago Park District or your kid's school. And I know they're government organizations, but in a lot of ways there are nonprofits. Oh, also I became the parent teacher organization chairperson. So help your kids' school out. There's another nonprofit. So locally within your own community, figure out where you can support things that matter to you. And it'll help you remember your roots, help you not to be arrogant, help you to make sure you have the correct information, help you to remember that you have a set market. Like for me with the parent teacher organization, I always have to remind myself, this is school time. This is not TeMeka's business time. It's not her networking for that. It's about the kids. It'll help remind you not to budget too loosely. It'll help you remember like, oh, this is a nonprofit. I want to be conservative or strategic. It'll help you know that you can be kind, but you have to be firm. Because if you work with homeless, if you've ever worked with homeless, they will take advantage if you let them. And then what else did we cover? I forgot 6 and 7. I'm about to type them in, but I'm going to toss it to Drew, just do his thoughts while I type the other 2 in.
Yeah. So just to piggyback off number 6, which was antiquated, technology. So, one thing that you really hit the nail on the head on is a lot of people are reluctant to expose themselves to new technology, but I would say don't. At least be open to trying it out and trying out certain platforms. You can get so much done. Me working in healthcare, a lot of my assessments are done virtually now versus where I used to have to get in the car and drive to a location to conduct an assessment of a patient. But a lot of that can be done via Zoom now, so it saves you time and money. You can get more things done by utilizing the platforms that's available to you. Holding department meetings, oftentimes we do that via Zoom or Teams, so just get familiar at minimum with those types of technology. And if you have a large business, and you want to get a message out to everybody, but it's too long to try to shoot in a text message. Sometimes I know we use a platform or an app called One Day, so I'll record a video message for our staff, and then everyone will receive it via text message, and they just click on the link, and the video will open up, and I'll give an in-depth kind of rundown of what's going on either for the day or the week. And it's something that they can quickly refer back to. So it's super helpful. Healthcare, we're 24 hours. So even my overnight employees benefit from it because then they don't have to call, their supervisor or directors in the middle of the night if they run into a problem because they covered that in your video message. So certainly be open to using those new platforms that's available to you. Technology, it benefits everybody. It gives you more for less. So certainly take advantage of that.
So I'm gonna jump in real quick so I can give people this website. Go to groovehq.com. They have a blog on the 7 deadly sins of entrepreneurship. This was one of the reference tools I used. And they did 7 virtues of entrepreneurship. So just if you want to like juxtapose this podcast to something, I'm just scrolling through this real quickly. But you can look here and get insight from another source that touches on these same things that we've talked about. But I said I'd do it. So I'm just going to throw that real quickly over there. I'll put it in the chat, and then I'll let Drew talk about number 7, and then we're going to close out so that this live can get posted because I can't go past, I think it's an hour 10. So go ahead and hit, I think you were still on number 6. You can, if you want to hit number 7. True.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What was 7, Mika?
It was that not to put blinders on to issues, which I feel like one of our earlier ones might have been similar, but I still think it's relevant because people kind of confuse the two sometimes. You know what I mean?
Right. And so I'll touch real quickly on that. That's probably the most important one is just to it's the name of the game is speed. So when you run into a problem, don't delay it, right? Don't put it off and try to ignore it. Try to address it as quick as possible. If you don't know and someone catches you in the moment, don't feel like you have to give an answer right now, right that moment. Just say, if you're unsure how to approach it, just say, let me give it some thought and get back to you, but truly get back to them as quick as possible. Try to be prompt as far as answering customer complaints. Try to do it the same day if you can. If not, at most, the next day, returning any, always address. One of the things I try to do is address the complaints. If there's any complaints, try to do that, first thing right when you get into work or to the office, just to get that off your mind and off your plate, and then to avoid the same scenario from happening to other clients. So definitely be aware of that. Don't put blinders on. Be open, and that's how we grow, right? Taking on those challenges, because the more you do it, the more you'll develop that comfort zone of handling those situations. So take it full on, and don't deflect or delay.
And some people take it as arrogance to circle back to where we started. If you don't recognize them, if you don't show respect to how they feel and their thoughts. And again, it will lead to like people taking advantage if they think you're taking advantage of them. So all these things probably interrelate to one another. I hope you found these 7 deadly sins of entrepreneurship helpful. Please check out loveinspiredteache.com. Thank you for supporting our Tuesday podcast. We now do a Thursday podcast. We're launching it. We're doing soft tapings right now, but it will be all ladies on Thursdays. I forgot the name of it, but I will get that together. Check out our events. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, ring the notification bell, comment. We love you. We appreciate you. Remember, Love Inspired Teaching is about the world needs more love. We have to inspire one another to have that happen. We also teach one another to create that inspiration so that we may all evolve. I can't talk anymore, guys. That's the end. Love, Inspire, Teach E. We appreciate you. Our team is growing. We are growing, and we hope that you enjoy these podcasts. Have a great night, all. Ending broadcast.